What's it like to live here?
If you like country life, it's great. And they got some good food here. I live in Ville Platte, that's 16 miles from here. I come all the way over here to eat.
That's David Fontenot. I liked him a lot. He might have been one of the coolest people I met on my Deep South road trip. He was one of many interesting folks I met driving around on the back roads of Louisiana in the spring of 2023. I'll tell you that. If you've ever been to Louisiana, you probably went to New Orleans, got drunk, got back on your plane and left. And if you did that, you missed out on a whole lot of stuff. When I first got to Louisiana, of course I did that New Orleans thing, but only for a couple days. Then I took off and headed up through Cajun country, into the woods, over the river, past Grandma's house, all the farmland in Shreveport, and finally went into Arkansas. The whole trip took 5 days, and boy did I see a lot. And they sure were nice days for Louisiana backroadin'. Partly cloudy and 75 degrees in the springtime and all. Woo-wee! I began in Cajun country. It's really rural down here. It's a lot of forest and farmland, and rednecks, and duck hunting. Poor ducks. I think I saw some looking pretty freighty. But a lot of people here live off the land. Shooting, hunting, fishing. Good people. Of course, church is a big deal down here, and helping one another is too. There's churches every 5 minutes in rural Louisiana. I'm not kidding. You look for places to stop along the road, and it's almost always at least one church. This church didn't make it, though. That sucks. The only thing that kinda comes close to the number of churches are places to eat. I tried a meat pie when I was in Natchitoches at a local joint called Lesnian's, where famous people go when they're in town, if you call Shirley MacLaine famous anymore. But somebody told me I needed to try the gas station meat pies, since they're so much better down here. I did that, and they are great. That's a thing down here in Louisiana. They eat gas station food here a lot. Fried gas station food, and just small corner market food in general. You can bet when you see a little place like this in the middle of nowhere's Louisiana, they have some good homemade fried stuff inside, made from somebody in town. I went into a lot of these little gas stations. In every one of them, there was a little freezer full of meat that I didn't know what it was, just hacked off from something. I don't think I'd eat that, but they do. Some places down here are just a gas station and chicken, and that's it. Parts of Louisiana are like a foreign country with the culture and the funny ways people talk and the funny food and all. Lots of places in Louisiana have boudin. It's a cooked sausage made of pork and rice and veggies. They even make them into boudin balls. More deep fried stuff, probably made from somebody in town. I hope they wash their hands. They love their chicken down here, that's for sure. In one little town I was in, on one corner there was a Chicken King, and the other corner there was a Church's Chicken. Chicken King looked way busier.
My favorite was that little chicken shack. It had way better chicken than anywhere else we went.
I know, Mappy. I like that place a lot too. You insisted that we stop there, and I'm totally glad we did. I think I remember you ate all my nuggets.
Dink!
So we were just driving on some back road, and we spotted this little tiny chicken joint in the middle of nowhere called Tom's. And look at those prices. Well, kinda try to read it. It's handmade. That means the food is handmade too. While we were waiting for our nuggets, I struck up a conversation with a cool local dude named David, who was out in his truck chomping on some chicken gizzards. He was really agreeable to talk. Poor guy, he was trying to eat, and I felt bad like I was interrupting his lunch, but he said I could ask him a bunch of questions, so I did. What's everybody do here for fun on the weekends?
Go to the lake and go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. In the fall we go hunting, and wintertime during the summer and spring and summer we go fishing in the lake. You know, I prefer bass myself.
I heard the crawfish industry's having trouble around here because the price of crawfish went up. Have you heard that?
We bought 6 pounds each of 6 pounds yesterday, and what was it, $29? The ball crawfish, and they were good. They were seasoned good and everything. You know, they were good.
Mm-hmm.
You ever eat crawfish?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, we don't have. I live in North Carolina. We don't have a lot of crawfish. No. Well, that's cool. So tell people what it's like in Louisiana.
Well, baby, it's just probably just like North Carolina, you know. And the country folks, really, really friendly people over here, you know.
That's right.
You know,
What's important to people around here?
hunting, fishing, basically, you know.
Duck hunting.
Duck hunting, squirrel hunting, deer hunting, rabbit hunting, you know, stuff in that nature. You know? I'm sure y'all got the same thing up there, huh?
We don't hunt much up there.
Don't.
No.
I know Mississippi area, you know, they do a lot of, they got some deer in Mississippi, so cool.
Mm-hmm.
My ex-wife is from Petal, Mississippi, and we'd go out there, and sometimes we'd have to almost stop on the interstate. There'd be so many deer crossing, like hundreds of them, bro. I said, man, I'd like to have that in Louisiana. And and another thing that people like to do is frog hunting, you know.
Gigging.
Yeah, well, it's against a lot of gigs, so we have to net. We have to catch them with a net.
You don't get damage the meat. Our frog, you can't damage the meat like that. Like if we send it to you, you don't want it.
But all the same,
like
but people like eating frogs over here. Y'all eat frogs?
Not really, no.
Well, you need to go somewhere and tell them you want a seafood platter with frog legs and crab, and you know, a seafood platter. You know, you'll really enjoy it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. One more question. How has it changed around here in these parts? Has it changed at all since you grew up?
Basically, the only thing is they got a lot of drugs, man. The drugs is terrible. When I was a kid, if you could find some dope, you know, marijuana or something, it come in a little matchbox. Now they got all kind of drugs.
I know, right? And I didn't blame him for stuffing his face like that. Best chicken I've ever had. But there's nothing like damn crawfish down here. I didn't know it until I asked, but when I was down here, it was the beginning of the peak of crawfish season. People get really excited about that down here. It's like holiday season. I mean, they talk about it everywhere you go. In the Midwest on the radio, they talk about the price of wheat and cattle. Down here on the radio, they talk about the price of crawfish.
So now we're really in that sweet spot where it is really easy to find crawfish already boiled from your favorite drive-thru for about $3.99 a pound.
King says a platter of crawfish is ideal for watching the Sweet 16 this weekend.
Everywhere you turn in backwoods Louisiana, there's a place to eat damn crawfish. Entire restaurants or just some little crawfish cart on the side of the road. But none of the crawfish places were open though. That sucks. If you know a little bit about my backstory, you know that I do not like crawfish. I had ordered this giant platter of seafood in a backwoods place in the Georgia bayous one night, and it had a bunch of crawfish on it. The lady convinced me to suck their heads, which means you rip the head off and suck out the guts. I did it like 20 times, and I was never the same since. So I didn't actually eat any crawfish till I got to Shreveport. I asked somebody down here, I don't want a whole bucket of crawfish. Can't you just get like a 6-piece or a 12-piece crawfish? They laughed and laughed at that. They're like, that's ordering like 2 fries at McDonald's. We eat 5 to 10 pounds at a time down here. Boy, you ain't from here, are you? Clearly not. So we were just driving around down in Cajun country, and we came across a big building that looked pretty important, and it was actually open. So I went in there to see what was happening. Turns out I stumbled into an interesting story. This place is called Crawfish Center Bait and Supplies. Neat operation. I found out this is where they sell crawfish traps and crawfish bait, so people can harvest crawfish for the local markets. But this place also harvests their own crawfish too. The guy in charge, his name's Kerry Lee. He told me all kinds of news about the crawfish industry. Really spilled the tea. Apparently the local crawfish market's struggling right now because of 3 reasons. One of them's drugs. So many people down here are strung out, so they won't or can't work. And people are still getting free government paychecks, so the labor market's dried up. The Mexicans are the only ones who will work on the crawfish farms anymore, and they have to pay them nearly $14 an hour now because of inflation. So this dude's trying to keep his business going, battling inflation and drug abuse and pure laziness. Welcome to America, I say.
This is the trap we catch them with, and this is the bait we catch them with. Overall, 300 traps, look what we catch, you know?
So how many are in one bag?
About 35 pounds.
35 pounds, and that goes for $50?
Pretty much, you know.
But did you have to lower your price because people aren't buying?
That's right.
What did they used to go for?
Shit, we got up to $4.50 this year, and in December, now they're $1.25, man. Yeah, it's a big difference. Very big difference. Yep.
So what are you gonna do to just wait it out?
Wait it out. Some people are gonna drain. I'm there. Price of rice is up. They're gonna plant rice, drain the crawfish lakes, and just play day by day, you know?
How long you been doing this?
Long time, man. Long time. Probably 30 years, 35 years, you know? Yep. This is the worst year I've seen in them. Yep. Now look at these mud bugs. They're not too bad. You know, look at them big ones in there, huh? You know? I mean, 4 people could eat on this. 4 people. For $50. Pretty cheap on them. That's right. Cheaper than Pizza Hut, right? Cheaper than McDonald's, right? There you go, bro. So everybody needs to start eating them again.
Yeah,
right?
Start eating some crawfish again.
Crawfish, that's right. Really help us out. Yep.
Kerry Lee asked me where I'm from. I said, North Carolina. And he said, well, get them North Carolina people to start eating more crawfish, would you? I said I told him I would. I probably won't do that, though. And that wasn't the only story I stumbled upon driving around asking people dumb questions. We were in some other rural part of some other parish, and we came upon another crawfish food truck. They were still boiling. They weren't ready to eat. His name's Louisiana Mike. We talked about crawfish stuff for a bit. How many pounds of crawfish do people buy?
Usually average around 3 to 5 pounds, you know, per person.
I heard the crawfish industry's having trouble because the price has gone up and people are not buying them as much.
Well, what's actually happened is the prices fell, the bottom fell out of the price. Like last week, in the last 2 weeks, they were around $3.50, $3.75, and now they're less than $2 a pound. Wow. Live. You know how it's been a lot warmer lately? The crawfish are just abundant. I mean, there's so many of them, and they can't get rid of them fast as they're putting them out. And a lot of farmers are talking about parking up their equipment because they're losing money selling them at that price, you know. I don't know what's going to happen. But
like they'll be out of business for good?
Oh no, probably this is just an off year, you know. Like last year, they stayed high most of the season, you know. This year they're just in abundance. We had a lot of warm weather, you know, last month, unusual. But the good side of it, though, the crawfish are big and beautiful, you know, healthy. So.
But he told me a lot of dirt about the oil and gas industry and the timber industry too. So how has this part of Louisiana changed in the last 10, 20 years?
Well, in this area right here, it's booming because of the oil field. You know, it's like a lot of oil field, drilling rigs everywhere. That's what I do during the week, is build oil field locations where they put the drilling rigs. And this is just a little weekend gig for me and my wife.
So things are going well here because their oil's doing good.
Oil and natural gas, mostly, yeah. It's big business. Yeah, the location we're building right now is like $1 million project, you know, for one spot. But they're gonna drill 4 wells in it, you know. It's like 12 acres, big place.
Mm-hmm. And oil and gas are real important in the state.
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest things, that and the timber industry. And right now the timber industry is way down, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, they were bringing in lumber from Canada and South America, importing it here cheaper than we can grow it and produce it ourselves. You know, and I was in that business for 25 years. Me and my whole family, you know. We quit in '04 because after they signed that free trade agreement, they shut down 6 mills within 30-mile radius of my house, you know. And my dad, who was the head of the whole thing, he said, "Son, I don't need any more experience cutting timber. I'm not going to do it for free. I think we'd be better off to sell all. We had all our equipment paid for, everything, and we were one of the biggest contractors in North Louisiana. And anyway, we sold all our equipment, got out, and everybody thought we were crazy. Now they wish they had done it too, because it went bad.
So NAFTA screwed you.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. And then Weyerhaeuser, they came in and bought out a lot of the ones that would folded, bought a lot of the land, and they planted it pine timber everywhere. Well, now they have a monopoly on it, you know, on the timber industry here. So like a private landowner, like myself, I've got 300 acres of land loaded with timber. I can't even give it away right now. You know, I was counting on that for my retirement, you know what I'm saying, for my later days, you know.
So we're getting all our timber from South America now.
Well, they're getting some from South America and a lot from Canada, you know. And it's not good lumber.
I didn't know there were so many stories out here. I was just going to drive around and look at shit. But you stop and talk to people and, well, there you go, right? As Crawfish guy Mike explained, the energy industry down here is a big deal. That's how a lot of people down here make their money. But there's a lot of bad that comes with that good. For one, down here there's a lot of pollution from all that energy extracting. They call parts of this part of Louisiana Cancer Alley because of all the off-the-charts cancer rates. That sucks. And the energy world is pretty much boom or bust. That's a big reason you see so much rural poverty down here. Driving around rural Louisiana, you come across a lot of small towns where there's maybe 100 houses in town and maybe 20% of them are wiped out. And there's a lot of trailer parks around these bends. I don't know if Louisianans are mostly happy or not, but there was a poll done by Harvard University once, and they asked people about their level of happiness. 5 of the top 10 places in the country with the highest reported happiness levels were right here in Louisiana. I asked somebody here about that, and she said, if you see people smiling down here, it's because they haven't lived here for very long. I don't know if I believe her or not, because I saw a lot of smiling faces on people who look like they've been struggling. Some will say, if you're happy in Louisiana, you must have money. And if you have money, what the hell are you still doing here? But a lot of these people are hard-working country folks who are here because it's cheap. Some relocated from nearby states for the affordability. Others wound up here after a hurricane. But it is true Louisiana does have a lot of uphill battles. It's a lot of poverty and addicts and gamblers. It's very unhealthy. It's a good place for people with bad habits. There's a lot of alcoholics and gamblers down here. You could say Louisiana cares more about hunting, fishing, and football than they do making sure their kids get a good education. One time I read a story that said Louisiana's the worst state in the nation now, and that's just plain mean. I asked somebody at a bar in town, I hear Louisianans are so generous and proud and helpful. Is that true? He told me, used to be. But today, people down here are just worn out from their daily struggles. They don't have anything left in them to help one another anymore. So everyone's become more closed off now. There's so many personal tragedies down here that it's become the land of struggles. And that's the big reason people down here drink so much. I met one cool dude driving around this part of whatever town I was in. This old-timer's named Buzz with one Z. He didn't want to talk to me on camera, but he said he has a band that he's in, and he wanted me to tell you guys about it. Here's one of their songs. I didn't just stop at small businesses when I was here. There's a lot of stuff to see if you make the right lefts. One day I stopped at an alligator park called Gator Country, Louisiana. You can't miss them. There's a big bus painted like an alligator on the side of the road. They have emus, lizards, and snakes. Lots and lots of snakes. But I didn't come here for that. All over the park they have these spoiled alligators that just sit there in the sun and eat all day. I think they're rescued. They hardly ever move. Smile. They have these little babies in a tank, but they have a big pool where they let you get in and actually grab them like you're a damn Cajun.
Yeah, do not fall.
What are you doing? I felt like I was a real Louisiana, born and bred, corn-fed. My long hair don't cover up my redneck. That was fun. But the airboat tour outside of New Orleans was way more exciting. We took a few-hour adventure into the swamps at the Mississippi River confluence, where we got even more up and close with the damn things. They feed them marshmallows and chicken.
Come on.
Oh, he is big. Dang.
He's no slouch.
Being around all those critters, I wanted to see them more and more. You just don't see this stuff where I live. I really wanted to see an armadillo out in the wild, but all I got to see were dead ones. Every mile down here, there's smushed armadillo. I got to rescue a turtle, though. This dude was just trying to get across the road, and he needed a little help.
Hey, you need to get out of the road.
Louisiana has the most prisons of anywhere else in the world, I think. You see signs for prisons everywhere you go. I finally stopped to check one of them out. Just looks like a regular prison to me. Hopefully these people learn their lesson. Quit being an a-hole and just be normal, I wanted to yell. There's a lot of history here, too. The South was where slavery and cotton was born. There's still signs of those days all over this place. I stopped and saw a few plantations when I was down here. This is the Melrose Plantation. And down the road's another one. They're big stately homes surrounded by farmland. They say Louisiana is two states. Down south, it's Catholics and Cajuns and food and music. It has a European and Canadian feel to it. It's very swampy. And then there's northern Louisiana, which has a lot more farmland and forests. It's more Baptist than Catholic. It's also where there's a lot more racism and rednecks, too. It's real America up here in northern Louisiana. You can really see the difference between the two regions as you move through the state. Sometimes you see lots of farms. Sometimes it's kind of older, run-down places. And then you come to an area that's as pretty as you've ever seen. I stopped by Opelousas one day. Why? Because it's the most dangerous place in the state, that's why. I mean, it's not nearly as bad as New Orleans or Shreveport or Baton Rouge, but per capita it is. Here's what that place looks like. It didn't really look that bad to me, but I'm sure at night it's off the chain. Opelousas also has a market in town called Dirt Cheap. I've never heard of that before. My favorite part was the small towns, though. This is little Minden, population 11,000. Minden's about a half hour east of Shreveport. It's about half white, half black. Households here earn about $25,000 a year. But it's really cheap to live here, and I don't see any tents on the streets. Do you? And here's what a neighborhood looks like in a small Louisiana town. You can get a house in a little town like this for about $80,000. I know, huh? Just a nice, quiet little residential community where they probably don't have a lot of drama and BS. I went to Ville Platte, home to 6,300 people. All these places kind of look the same. Some are a little bit more run down than others, but they're all basically the same. But the real reason I came down here was to go to the Swamp Pop Museum. I was so excited about that. Closed. That sucks. But it was closed. Damn it. No swamp pop for me. I got to see some pop here, though. Louisiana people love their pop. Down the road was little Homer, population 2,500. They have this little downtown square area where I'm sure they get together and frolic and the like. Neat place. Very Americana. It was in Homer that I met this guy. He was getting out of his truck and he had a big rifle on his shoulder. I was like, I gotta talk to you.
Well, it's a small town. So everybody knows everybody, and if you don't want, if you have a problem living in Homer, it's because everybody knows what you're doing. It's back kind of the way it was. Nothing's changed. People still go to church and pledge allegiance to the flag. That's what we are. It's not perfect, but it's going back to the 70s more than anything else. Everybody depends on each other. We work for each other. Welcome to America. Thanks.
That's how it should be.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And if that ain't some small town Louisiana, huh? It's kind of hard to get to know the culture here when it seemed like everything was closed when I was down here. A lot of stuff I saw in rural Louisiana wasn't open. This gas station with the big pink flamingo on top was closed. I wanted to see what they had inside. The Cajun auction wasn't open. I was excited about going in there so I could see what Cajun auction stuff is. This cattle place I passed didn't have anyone around. I wanted to ask them some dumb questions about Louisiana farms. The cattle seemed interested in me, though. Hey, guys. I heard all about this bar in the middle of nowhere called the Whistle Stop. It, too, was closed. Damn it. I know it was only 10:45, but I thought, it's Louisiana. I thought they drank all day down here. Guess not. But the daiquiri places aren't closed. Nuh-uh. If you've never seen this, it's a big deal down here. You drive in and you order these booze slushies, and they bring them out to the car and everything. I got the small one. I could tell if I got the big one what it would have felt like. Jeez. It's really weird, though. In some parts of the South, they're like, the entire county can't drink. We're dry. And then in some parts of the South, you can drive away with a big gulp full of booze.
I thought Louisiana was just disgusting. There's nowhere to shop for nice things. And all the people all sound like they have marbles in their mouth.
Well, Karen, these people are more honest and generous and caring than the snobby, selfish people you run around with. They'd probably lend you a hand before any of your friends would. Well, sadly, that's how most of us feel about Louisiana. Yeah, the state has struggles, maybe more struggles than any other state. But if you get back there and you look around and talk with people, you'll see a side of the world you've never seen before. It might even bring your faith in this country back a little bit. I like Louisiana. I think you need to like Louisiana too. And don't forget, you can get my Unboxing Louisiana t-shirts. Go to my Teespring store and wear something that I made. You might even get a compliment. The link's in the description. Now get out there and travel, everyone. Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house, too. Email me and I'll work with you on not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home, too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over the country, and I'd love to connect you to somebody who can help you search for that perfect home. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.